Lucy. I am a development practitioner and community organizing expert from the Karamoja sub-region in northeastern part of Uganda. I have had a span of experiences working across the borderlands of Uganda, Kenya, and Ethiopia, mostly with the pastoralist communities, young women, youth, and other target groups, mostly in the thematic areas of climate action, peace and security and development, and general humanitarian programming, but with a focus on development work. I come from a sub-region that has been marginalized for decades and has seen its people struggle with vulnerabilities susceptible to climate change and also sometimes disasters like hunger. I come from a region that has been marginalized for decades and has seen its people suffer from vulnerabilities due to climate shocks or disasters like prolonged drought. I've also have climate-related security, especially cattle rustling, that has robbed the region for decades, and also so many challenges like low literacy rates, especially among the young people and also other generations, and many other challenges. For example, infrastructure development is still lagging behind in this region, and so many others. Development work, generally, it's still low in this region. So you find that there is will for the young people, there is will for communities to organize, to form agencies that inform development interventions in this region. But in most cases, you realize that they are not given a chance, they are not given space to participate and also take part in decision-making platforms right from the grassroots level and up to any other level in engagement. So you find that that is a gap, and yet if they are given a chance, they lead systematically, they lead the transformational changes so well. So that is a gap, and that is something that I would like to see a change from this region, from this Karamoja cluster, and from this corridor. The foundation of my work is community organizing, and my experience is community organizing. So it means that it's deeply rooted in community participatory action, development oriented approaches. So what do I mean by this? It means that when I have an idea or an initiative that I want to do at the community level, I do not just sit and create it alone. I go to the community, I meet the youth, I meet the women, I meet other target groups and the like, and mostly in the corridors of Uganda, Kenya, South Sudan, and also Ethiopia, the ones that I can ably reach at that moment. So over time, we go to these communities and we discuss with them with open-end questions like how are they living life in their communities, what challenges or issues are they having in their communities, and then from the issues is where we are going to where we formulate the actionable points that they think that are best solutions to those challenges that they give us. So from those challenges is where we formulate the key thematic areas that they think that either government or humanitarian workers and they themselves can be able to give solutions to. But of course, I also believe and also know that community organizing is rooted in ownership and sustainability. So it means that from the onset, if projects are not at the initial stages, they are not consultative, they are not inclusive, they are not community oriented, it means that the onset of the value and the onset of the objective is lost from the start. So as a community practitioner and as a development advocate, I believe so much that for the youth and young people across the cluster of Karamoja, that is to say along the corridors of these regions and this country, it is deeply rooted on how approaches on development are done by all the development actors, that is inclusive of the governments in these states and also the CSOs that are working across these borderlands. For the past 7 or 6 years, more or less, I have had a good experience working across the borderlands of Uganda, Kenya, Ethiopia, and also South Sudan with different pastoralist communities. And one thing that I have experienced is that most of these communities work together, they live together, they graze their cattle together, and they engage in the local community initiatives that they do, and they engage together. So I have also seen that conflict crosses borders, drought crosses these borders, and diseases crosses these borders. So it means that it is very important for any development intervention to look at it in a way that it is not confined in one country. So for the youth to be engaged, for any community work to be done by any stakeholder, it means that solidarity should be key. It means that joint strategies are supposed to be put in place so that solutions to issues that are faced by all communities along the borderlines are jointly formulated, either through platforms that have actively participated in cross-border platforms, either on advocacy or engagement on different issues such as conflict, drought, that is on climate change, and also animal health. So I believe so much, and I have had a good experience working with the cross-border community because it is cross-cultural, it brings solidarity, and also cross-border development as a whole. On policy and advocacy engagements, I have had experience working at the spanning from international level, regional level, national, and also grassroots level. At the international level or global level, I've had a chance to work with Gesunde Ade and Gesunde Mention, that is like Healthy Planet, Healthy People, an organization based in Germany. So I had a chance to present the effects of climate change on the Karamojong community in northeastern Uganda. The engagement at that level gave actionable points that improves the way that climate action is supposed to take place, or the direction that climate change and interventions are supposed to take place in Eastern Africa and also Africa at large. So I had that chance. Later on, within that same span, I had again another chance to work with Weltunga Hilfe. That was my second engagement at the global level on breaking silos. So here I was able to produce a TED Talk video on breaking silos. That basically was meaning how should we break barriers in engagement. So it was more of how can we include the local people, how can we include the youth, how can we include the women, how can we include every other target vulnerable group in any marginalized community in Africa and also at the global level in climate action, in peace building, and core humanitarian activities that are related to development at any other level. So I had that chance. So when you look at the regional level, I've had opportunities to engage with IGAD on cross-border trade and policy, peace and security, and livelihood interventions. I've had opportunity to engage with Life and Peace Institute on most of the social cohesion programs, mostly looking at inclusion of women and youth in peace building, climate security and conflict in the borderlands of Karamoja, in Uganda, Kenya, in Turkana, South Sudan, in Toposa, and Ethiopia in Omo communities. So I have had these engagements, and most of these engagements have spanned into either short-term projects or long-term projects, especially that are directly implemented by partners at the local level in the Karamoja cluster. At the local level, that is now in Uganda, I've had a chance to work with communities, my local communities, in most of the areas that are, most of the themes that is on climate action, peace and security, women and youth rights, and mining rights. The long span of my advocacy skills have not long gone, or I have not forgotten the fact that engagement is mostly supposed to be inclusive on either level. It is supposed to be inclusive, but most especially when voices at the grassroots are put at the center of decision-making platforms. It means that sustainability of development interventions are put at the center, and ownership of the projects that are supposed to bring a transformative change is realized. Naturally, when I see injustice, I speak. When I see unrealized exclusion, I challenge it. So, in other words, that is why I came up with an idea. I was inspired to form an initiative of my own. What inspired me was the mere fact that most of the young people are still excluded in decision-making platforms, not only at the cross-border level, but in all levels of development in Eastern Africa, in Uganda and Eastern Africa. So that has inspired me to formulate it, because through it, I want the voices of young people to be heard. I want the co-creation of ideas and themes that inform challenges be co-created by the owners of the problems themselves. So, because I believe that development interventions, development itself is supposed to come from the people owning their problems, and so they find reliable solutions to transform and change their communities. So I believe in co-creation that is centered at the heart of the people, and that is not top-bottom but bottom-up approach. That is what I believe in. So I advocate so much for it, and I encourage most of the young people to come up with initiatives and innovate ideas that are grown from the grassroots level.